So we've got a big one today. It is something so many of us struggle with, and if you are here, it is likely impacting your life in some way. We are chatting body image because having a negative relationship with our body, feeling like our bodies just are not good enough, is not a way to live life. I went through a period where I had a pretty negative relationship with my body, and I realized all it was doing was stealing from my life. It was robbing me of more happiness and peace and enjoyment of life. When we're caught in the cycle of believing our bodies aren't good enough, we experience less joy. We might shrink ourselves, we might avoid photos, we might feel more anxious, and we let those insecurities ripple into our relationships in our daily life. So today, I want to help you start shifting that. Now, it is important to note that I am not a therapist. This is not my direct area of expertise. If this is something you are really struggling with, especially on a day-to-day basis, then I highly recommend going and working with a professional. In this video, I am just sharing my perspectives based on my own experiences. The first thing I want to say is it is so normal and so common to have a poor body image. We live in a society that constantly bombards us with messages, usually without us really consciously being aware of it, that tells us what we should look like, about what makes someone attractive and valuable and worthy. We constantly get messages around how we are not good enough and what we should aim to look like instead. Outside of the messaging we get from the media, our body image is influenced by a number of factors, including our previous experiences, the beliefs and perceptions of the people we spend time around, the things people have said to us, and many of us have absorbed beliefs about our bodies that we got from our parents, which is based on the messaging they got about their bodies. It is such a big part of our culture, so no wonder it's on our minds. But my aim with this video is to help you see that at the end of the day, body image is not a fact. It is not a truth. It is a perspective. A negative body image comes from our own beliefs and perceptions and judgments that are influenced by the world around us, and honestly, I would argue that were given to us. But that is just a narrative that we are holding, and we can change that. We can choose to take on new mindsets and beliefs for ourselves. And I am sitting here in this chair talking to a camera, spending time and energy creating content specifically to help people change their lives, to improve their lives, to help you create a more fulfilling life. So I am being so for real when I say that you can change these things. And my deepest hope is that you walk away from this video with a new perspective that helps move you in the direction toward more enjoyment of yourself and your life. So again, if you look at our society and our culture and how our brains work, it just makes sense that so many of us have a negative body image experience, that so many people feel like their bodies aren't good enough. But something to understand is ultimately, it is the meaning that we are giving things that influence how we're feeling. So it is not, I look like this, so I feel this way. It is, this is what I'm making this mean, and that is making me feel this way. We are making our physical attributes mean bad, wrong, not enough. Someone else can have the same or very similar physical attribute that you feel really insecure about and not be bothered by it at all because we're making it mean something and they are not. A pivotal point in my journey was when I realized just how much feeling dissatisfied in my body was robbing from my life. I saw where it was holding me back from showing up as a better, more joyful version of myself and how that was affecting my life. And around this time, I was spending a lot of time reflecting on who I really wanted to be, and it hit me that this was not the version of myself I wanted to be. This was not the type of life I wanted to live. I wanted to enjoy my life as much as possible and show up as a great version of me. Around this time, I had also been learning about the power of your thoughts and your beliefs. And I was like, okay, if I get to decide my perspectives, then I'm deciding my body is enough. I'm deciding I'm not going to live my life feeling insecure about my body. I'm deciding to no longer entertain the thoughts around things I didn't like about my body. Those thoughts may come up, but it's not what I'm choosing to take on as my belief. It's not something that I'm going to choose to put my full attention toward. And I think that is such an important aspect of body image and our relationship with our bodies. Learning to not believe whatever thought just pops up into our head and instead choosing what we're going to believe. I think it is so normal to have those critical and judgmental thoughts about our bodies pop up, but there is such a difference in having that thought, noticing it, letting it make us feel a certain way, and then most likely having our brain spiral into more negative thoughts versus having that thought, noticing it, and just moving on. It was just background noise. It's not a helpful thought. It's not a helpful belief, so I'm not going to entertain it. This is definitely easier to do sometimes more than others, but this is a skill that you cultivate, and it's not specific to body image. This is just a skill in thought and mind management overall. But specific to body image, the more you do this, along with some of the other things I'm going to go over in this video, the less and less those thoughts come up, and the less and less those thoughts affect you. I am a big proponent of choosing what is a helpful belief? What do I want to believe? And something that can help you shift and change some of your beliefs is to look for evidence that whatever thought or belief your brain is telling you isn't true. So for example, if your brain is saying, I am unlovable because, I bet you can go and find an example of someone with that specific thing, with a similar physical attribute, who is in a loving relationship. And I will just go ahead and say there are so many people of all shapes and sizes who are extremely confident. There are people of all shapes and sizes who are in very healthy, loving, supportive relationships, just to give your brain some examples. You can look for those specific examples in your own life. And making changes to your body definitely has the potential to improve your body image, but that's not the solution. It's the narratives we hold and what we choose to focus on that really makes a difference. There are plenty of people who have what would be more of a societally deemed attractive or ideal body that are incredibly insecure. I have read so many stories of people who have gone to put in the work to change their bodies, to change their body composition, and they ended up realizing they felt pretty similar after making those changes. Because nothing really changes unless we change internally. We choose how we feel in our own bodies. One person could have a less societally deemed attractive body than another, but could be way happier, have way more confidence, feel more comfortable in their body. Because while physical attributes can play a role, I'm not going to discount that, that does not dictate how we feel in our bodies. We do. Changing internally is about taking on new beliefs and perspectives about ourselves and our body, and it's also about cultivating a better relationship with ourselves. One of the best things we can do is cultivate a really loving and healthy and respectful relationship with ourselves, which is really a whole topic in and of itself. But we can choose to show love and appreciation toward our body. You can start fertilizing that relationship, and you can do that through things like taking really good care of your body, moving in ways that feel good, nourishing it in a variety of ways, wearing clothes that actually make you feel really good. Specifically doing things to show yourself love and respect and appreciation. So that was my main message. That was the main dish. But there are a few things that I think it is so helpful to keep in mind. And one of those is our body image is not an accurate representation of what we actually look like. Our body composition does not change from a day-to-day basis, but how we feel in our bodies definitely can. We can wake up one day and feel really good in our body, and the next, not so much. All the societal messaging we get definitely influences our perspectives, but things like our stress levels, the quality of sleep we've been getting, mood fluctuations, hormonal fluctuations, and emotional situations that we're experiencing all impact how we feel in our body. It can all impact our body image. I think a really helpful experiment to run is to start noting correlations between different life experiences and times when you feel like crap about your body or are having more of those negative, critical thoughts come up. Maybe it tends to come up more when you're feeling unloved. Maybe it tends to come up more when your work stress is through the roof. Maybe it tends to come up more when you're having a conflict with your partner. And being able to note these correlations and see these patterns can really help you just see like, oh, it's really not just about my physical body. I am having these experiences and I am feeling these emotions and I am channeling those feelings to be about my body. I also think it's important to normalize that we are sometimes going to be uncomfortable in our body. Even people who have really healthy, great relationships with their bodies, really great body image, still have times when they don't feel super great in their body or super great about their body. I think that's just part of the human experience, and we can get to a point where that's okay. That's a neutral thing. We can have moments where we aren't feeling great about our body or are feeling flabby or whatever, but not really let it affect us. We can notice them and move on and shift our focus back to other things. We don't have to let those moments affect our quality of life, i.e., our happiness, or our behavioral choices. It's also really worth paying attention to the language you use and the people you spend your time around. If you are saying things like, I look flabby, I feel so disgusting, or if you are bonding with your friends around, what you don't like about your bodies, or speaking negatively about your bodies, that is just reinforcing a negative body image. It's reinforcing a negative relationship with your body, right? It is not helpful to make comments like, oh, I'm eating so bad tonight. Those kinds of comments are just driving home messages that are not helpful. So you can set some boundaries for yourself on what you choose to say and what kind of narratives you choose to entertain. And if you have people like this in your life, try to spend more time around people who have a healthy relationship with their bodies and with movement and with food. We tend to be pretty influenced by the people we spend time around, so their mindsets and tendencies will probably rub off on you. And I want to share a few things that I think it's really helpful to come back to. At the end of the day, I think it is so important to ask ourselves, what kind of life do I want to live? Do I want to live my life feeling insecure about my body? And I don't mean today or next week. I mean, zooming out, big picture, how we are living our life. Is that the life I want for myself? Do I want to look back on my life and realize just how much time I spent being bummed about my body or held myself back from really enjoying my life? And I just really think those are such important things to think about and really ask ourselves. And if the answer is no, know that you are fully capable of changing your beliefs and how you feel. Negative thoughts about our bodies may always come up. They may get to a point where they're pretty rare, but they might always come up, and I think that's just a reality of our current culture. But we can decide what we want to believe and feed into and focus on. You can choose what beliefs you truly want to take on as yours. You can choose what thoughts are worth entertaining versus the ones that are not. It's also incredibly helpful to shift what you are focusing on. Instead of being focused on our bodies and what we look like and how we feel about it on a day-to-day basis, we can instead shift our focus to what we value, what brings us joy. We can shift our focus to enjoying our life, to connecting with others, to things that make us feel fulfilled, that bring us peace, that are really fun. And when that's what you're focused on, you're not thinking about your body as much, and then what your body looks like starts to just not matter as much. Envision your ideal self, your ideal future self, if that's helpful. How do they feel about their body? How do they treat their body? How do they show up on a day-to-day basis? And then you can use that as your North Star of how you can start showing up. You can start embodying that now. And that can be such a helpful way to really start making some of these shifts. I think in every area of life, it can be so helpful to not live from a place of life happening to us, but rather living from a place of deciding what narratives we want to live from and consciously choosing how we want to live our lives. So I hope this video helped you in some way. I hope you got value out of listening to or watching this. I really believe that if more and more of us start to cultivate better relationships with ourselves and our bodies, we can start to shift the societal and cultural narrative, and that can make it so much easier for everyone to enjoy their body. And hopefully we can get to a point where we are no longer passing down these narratives to future generations, which I just think would be amazing. So again, I hope you got something from this video. Thank you so much for being here. If you got value from this, you'll probably enjoy some of my other videos as well. So I'll make sure to put some kind of link somewhere along the screen for you to go check them out. But with that, I hope you have a fabulous day, and I hope to see you in another video.